It was never just about the kids. It never was. You were tricked. You were fooled. You were duped by politicians, by religious figures, by podcasters. You were all tricked and convinced that it was just about protecting kids. And now you have to look to your left, your right, to your friends, to your neighbors, to maybe your family, and say, you know what? I was wrong. It was never just about the kids, because it never was. And we tried to tell you, even here on my channel, my tiny little channel over here, I had tons of people trying to tell me, no, it's just about protecting kids. It's just about schools and things like that. Well, now we're seeing the true colors come out. It's trans adults to GOP candidates now back trans medical restrictions for all ages. So they were using the what about the kids fallacy, which I've talked about for a couple of months now, to wedge in there and drive towards this, because it never made any sense to people in the queer community that this was just about the kids. We kept saying this, we kept getting gaslit, and now the truth is coming out. Ron DeSantis, with diminishing returns, is putting out attack pieces on the entire queer community, and we're seeing it backfire for him, because a lot of people are feeling like they were tricked. And you were completely convinced that this issue was only going to affect one thing, and that was, kids in school. We kept saying, no, that's not it. There's a bigger picture here. Nobody wanted to believe us, and now it's true. It's coming out. You can't deny it anymore. There's no more deniability here. If you ever told someone like me or another queer person that it was only about this one thing, and we kept saying, no, it's a bigger thing, the proof is in the pudding. I have more examples. This isn't the only one. Buckle in. We got some really scary stuff. Even if you're straight and cisgender, you should be worried about this. So the concept, this idea that it was just about protecting kids, was something that was driven really hard to the gay community about all these issues. And we kept seeing like it kept taking a little bit more and a little bit more and a little bit more. And now they're saying, even if you're an adult, you don't have the same freedoms as everybody else. You can't go and do things that other adults are allowed to do. If you are trans, you have no option for any kind of procedures medically. This is coming from places that do all kinds of elective surgeries. You can go and get Botox. You can do all kinds of things medically to your body that you want, but they're specifically saying that, look, if you're trans, you are a different class of citizen. We're seeing this with a lot of these restrictions and laws now, things that are coming out from the Supreme Court. I'm going to do a video about that as well. This was always the plan, and it will continue to be the plan. Once they start pushing this on to the trans community, it's going to start trickling through the rest of the queer community. And then who's next? Who's next after that? You need to start listening to us. You need to start listening to us. And if you were ever thinking, oh, this is never going to affect me, right? 2 cisgender people were killed in separate attacks motivated by transphobia. That's right. You read the headline correctly. 2 cisgender people who are not trans were killed in 2 separate attacks. I'm gonna give a trigger warning about this story before we read. I'm gonna read a couple of the details. They may trigger people. Slight trigger warning there. They were not even trans people. And the reason why I'm bringing this up is we keep telling you these bigoted, irrational behaviors lead to other real world problems. And we're starting to see that now. And it says here in this story, let's go down here. Michelle Dion Peacock and Colin Smith. Peacock was a 59-year-old black cis woman who was reportedly murdered by 67-year-old Tommy Wayne Earl in Richmond, Indiana in June. Officers were dispatched to the Merle Henderson apartment complex in Richmond on June 30th. According to Fox 59, Peacock's body was found with a laceration to the throat. She was pronounced dead on the scene. During interviews with investigators, Earl allegedly referred to Peacock as a male acting like a woman several times and said that he would do it again. Right? And before he was put away, he goes, told the investigators he needed to be kept away from black inmates, saying that he does not get along with them. So this was not only a transphobic attack, it was also a racially motivated attack. Down here, it says it's worth noting that cis black women are often targeted by transphobia, especially as it intertwines with white supremacy. Let's talk about Colin. In a separate incident, 32-year-old Colin Smith was stabbed to death in Portland, Oregon on July 2nd. He had been out with coworkers at the High Dive Bar when 24-year-old Ronique Jackson started harassing one of his coworkers, who is trans. When Smith tried to intervene, Jackson allegedly stabbed him to death. He was arrested by U.S. Marshals last Friday and arrested on charges of second-degree murder and unlawful use of a weapon. This is not an issue that is confined to the trans or the queer community. This kind of trans/gay/queer panic doesn't help anyone. It hurts everyone. We need to stop allowing this irrational behavior to just happen. And what I mean by that is people need to either learn to live and let live or get educated. It's one or the other. Going around and lashing out like this on people is not okay. It's not okay in violent acts. It's not okay in violent words and language. It is across the board not all right. It is wrong. And it's going to keep getting worse unless people start to understand that they have been tricked. The people preaching this have a motivation to do it. And if you don't care, if you have the privilege to not care, then you are a part of the problem too. We can go all the way back to 2016. This is from 2016. Women are getting harassed in bathrooms because of the anti-transgender hysteria. Again, 2016. It says here, a cisgender non-trans woman was insulted while in a Walmart bathroom after another woman confused her for a trans woman, apparently because she had short hair. The incident, the woman said, led her to confront the kind of harassment and discrimination that trans people have faced in bathrooms for a long time. Goes on here to say, this is one of the problems. They claim that trans-friendly policies will allow men to disguise themselves as women, go into women's bathrooms, and harass or assault women. This claim is a myth. Multiple investigations have found states and schools that have had legal protections for trans people for years have never linked an instance of sexual assault or harassment in the bathroom to trans-friendly policies. There's no connection. And this was all the way back in 2016. There's still nothing to this day that proves any of this. It is all a social attack on trans people, queer people. It is othering people. This is not good. If you are someone that had been convinced that all of this was just quote unquote to protect the children, it is not. Stop falling for it. That is a fallacy that has caused people to feel like they have to pick the side that makes them seem the most virtuous. That is not the case. It is built on lies. It is built on disinformation. It is built on ignorance and bigotry. This is not just an issue that's going to affect the trans community or the queer community. You need to take the blinders off. And if you're one of those people that said it was just about the kids, you were wrong, and you need to apologize to every gay, trans, queer person that you told otherwise, because you are complicit to this if you continue to follow it.